Hello, Jack here, and so in exactly 2 weeks, according to the Julian calendar at least, I will have been on testosterone for 1 full year. Now, if you use solstices, the 21st, but we're going to go with the 22nd since that's, I'm sure, what everyone else is using. At this point, like I've probably said in at least 2 other videos, because I remember saying this before, most of the physical changes have tapered off to the point where they're very subtle if they're happening at all. The changes that are still happening, that I still notice, are facial hair growth, and I think that might be it. I've been getting this weird acne-like rash on my lower lip and chin, but lotion sort of gets rid of it, so I'm not that concerned about it. I have less acne overall than I did a couple months ago, and I have less acne than I did when I was going through puberty for the first time. So, yeah. That's like the one thing that my doctor, my endocrinologist, whenever I go to her, that's like the one thing she brings up. Like, are you getting more acne? Not really. Yeah. I am still growing more facial hair, like I just said, but not enough for me to care to grow more of it. I still, if in case you didn't notice, the facial hair looks pretty much the same as it did, as it does in most of my other later T videos, but that's because I shave off a great deal of it. I shave all this shit off because it's gross, and I shave these off because it's all patchy, which is normal, but it doesn't look very good, and so I shave most of it off. My voice has settled down. The main change with my voice is that I'm more used to using it. So things like singing don't sound as awful as they did a couple of months ago because my voice doesn't crack as much during that time. The main issues going on right now with me are psychological and social. Psychologically, I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail here, but my sex drive is still ridiculous and slightly scary. However, it is less scary than it was, not because the images that my mind makes up in the heat of the moment are any less disturbing, but because I've come to accept that they don't really mean anything about me psychologically. So I've learned that if I just let it run its course, then it goes away, I don't have to dwell on it, and I don't do anything stupid. So that's been a lot more serene, and I've also talked to a lot of cis men and other trans men who have gone through the same thing, so I'm so much less concerned about it. I drive different. It's really bizarre. I noticed that the other day, and I've noticed it in the past several months, but I didn't notice it quite as much until like one moment. I'm a more aggressive driver, but it's not... I'm still more defensive than most people. That's just a part of my character, but I'm more aggressive than I used to be when it comes to driving, and that's, I think, about it right now for psychological. Social differences are definitely there. The main social thing is that I don't really care about how I act anymore as much as I used to pre-T and early on testosterone, because people are going to read me as male anyway. One of the things that really shaped my behavior, so to speak, was knowing that certain cues, like verbal cues and physical body language cues, were making people not see the more masculine parts of my physical appearance. And so those things really made a difference as far as whether or not somebody read me as female or male. And that doesn't really apply anymore, because most people read my voice as male, whether over the phone or in person or whatnot. I have facial hair, which, I mean, it's not very thick facial hair, but it's enough where most people would not read it as feminine facial hair. And a couple of other things have changed, and my face shape has changed a little bit. So people don't read me as female anymore, and when they do, it's like for a little bit, and then they realize that they've made a mistake, and they go through the same embarrassed motions they do when they mess up a cis person's gender, which, I mean, this happens to everybody, so it's not something that it concerns me as much anymore. At worst, people see me as slightly femmy or gay, but that doesn't really bother me. and it really didn't bother me back in the day either. I considered it a win when people viewed me as a femi guy or a gay guy because they were still seeing me as a guy. And there's really, although I'm not femme identified nor am I gay, there's really nothing wrong with being misconstrued as such, so it doesn't concern me anymore. So I don't worry so much about my hand gestures, which I use on a regular basis. Yeah, so there's that. I don't really date because I don't have time. I don't know if I've gone through exactly how packed my schedule is, but I'm an officer in a couple of clubs on campus. I'm taking like 18 to 20 I don't even know how many credits I'm taking, but it's a lot of them. I'm working a lot, and then I have to make time for me and for my family and that sort of thing, so I don't really date and I don't make YouTube videos that much, but I do get propositioned more, and I'm a little bit more confident when I am propositioned. Although I'm honest. Like, if you find me on any personal ads websites, one of the first things that's on there, besides the fact that I'm transsexual, because I'm open about that, I don't want to wind up in a relationship with somebody who doesn't know, it's just not something I'm comfortable with. But another thing on there is, like, I probably don't have time for you. Don't take it personally. Yeah. People flirt with me more on a regular basis, although I'm still pretty bad at realizing it until later. My personal ads and profiles get more hits and more comments and messages from people who are actually interested in me, rather than just bots. And because of this, I've actually gotten pickier. I still give most people a chance because I'm just that kind of person. I assume that there are things about people that I can't just see right away, and I want to know those things and what's appealing and not appealing first. But anyway, I don't really need to go into detail about that. All I gotta say is that I'm pickier, although I still give people a chance. But I've recognized that the things that I don't want to compromise on, as far as relationships go, like I will not date people who hate dogs. is one of those things, because I had a dog. He's sleeping right now, and he was here first. And I do not want kids. If somebody wants kids, then no, it's not gonna work out. So I'm a little pickier, and I'm happier about that than I would have been. I don't really feel the need to be in a relationship right now, unless I fall into one that I actually like. But yeah, that's enough of that for now. Where am I in my script? Okay, I'm still self-conscious about my body. When it comes to relationships, I want to create romantic relationships when I find people who I really genuinely like, but my chest dysphoria and overall self-consciousness, especially due to my weight, has actually gotten worse due to the tea. I love how I look when I'm wearing clothes. That's a genuine statement. Like, I like the way my face looks right now. I'm okay with my hands and my feet being small, and they're probably not going to grow anymore. My body shape generally isn't that bad, but my weight and my chest just get to me that much. So it's just one of those things where if I was in a relationship right now, I would have to be with somebody very compassionate, because I don't want to be seen naked in front of people. Yeah, so certain aspects of the trans community frustrate me more now that I'm on testosterone. And it's not so much like the testosterone versus not testosterone, it's an experiential gap, but that's a subject that is actually going to take me quite a while to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it in a different video. The main thing the main thing going on right now is that, although in some way, sorry about that, I have a script, but I've been deterring from it a bit. Anyway, the main thing going on right now is that in some ways I'm sort of forgetting that I'm transgender. And it's not like I'm deluded and think that I'm not one of those people who is like, well, I'm post-transgender. And I hope I'm never one of those people, because those people piss me off. But there is so much less thinking specifically about me being transgender than there used to be when I was early on T and when I was pre-T. For an example, I walked through a locker room full of naked guys recently, and when I got out of the locker room, I realized that not once while I was in there did I really think like I'm a transgender person walking into a men's locker room full of naked guys. What's gonna happen? Because that's something that's mostly gone, because I haven't needed that sort of mental process in a long time. It's not like when I was using men's bathrooms pre-T and I was constantly worried about whether somebody was going to notice, because people aren't going to notice. Yeah, so the only time it comes up now in my mind is when it's relevant, which is less and less often as time goes by. Like the last time, the reason I'm even doing this now is because today was shot day, and so I remembered, oh yeah, I should probably say something. But yeah, it's been almost 11 minutes, so that's all for right now. Happy trails, and I will see you next time, which hopefully will be in just a couple of minutes.